so much for joining us during this momentary distraction of simple amusements and magic. Welcome to Faust and Company, everyone, on this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. I see that we already have a couple viewers out there, so thank you so much. If you're out there, please say hi. I can see that Micah is out there. Nick, thank you so much. It's my time to plug you guys into the show notes, so thank you for coming, guys. And so we have a very special guest today, and his name is Jonas Cain. But before we get to Jonas, I would like to make a couple of announcements. I see that Darren is out there. Hello, Darren. It's always nice to see friends out there. So I just want to say thank you once again. But everyone, I have a couple of announcements before we get on with the magic and start your weekend off right. And so this Valentine's, I am going to be appearing with a very stellar cast from the nation's capital, and they are called Washington Magic. So this is the advertisement. So please check us out, and you could find the information at washingtonmagic.com. And it is produced by David Mori and Savino Racine, and there is a stellar cast that I hope that you can check out. So please check that out if you're available and free. And if you're not doing anything for Valentine's. And so what I wanted to do today, before we get to our special guest, I wanted to share some music donated by Drew Nugent and the Midnight Society, our official band here. They came out with a new album, and this song in particular was made in the 1930s. And I hope you enjoy, and I hope that it sets the tone for the weekend to come. So, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Drew Nugent and the Midnight Society with a 1930s song called Confessin'.
This song was written in 1930 by Chris Smith and Al Nieberg. It's entitled Confessin'. I'm confessing that I love you. Tell me, do you love me too? I'm confessing that I need you. Honest I do, honest I do. Need you every moment. In your eyes I read such strange things. but your lips deny their truth. Oh, will your answer really change things, making me blue, making me blue? I'm afraid someday you'll leave me. Say, can we still be friends? If you do, you know you'll grieve me. 'Cause all in life on you seems to depend. Am I guessing that you love me? Or am I dreaming my dreams in vain? In vain. I'm confessing that I love you over again. Yeah. I'm afraid someday you'll leave me, saying, can we just be friends? Oh, you know that if you do, it will grieve me. It seems like all in life on you depends. Am I guessing that you love me? Or is it that I'm dreaming dreams in vain? I'm confessing that I love you, that I need you over again. I'm confessing that I love you over again.
Well, I'm digging the tunes too, Braden. I mean, I hope that everyone out there enjoyed Drew Nugent and the Midnight Society. And if you're wondering where you could find them, you can check this out. You can find them here. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the time where we meet our featured guest, and I'm quite excited about introducing you to him. He is a good friend of mine. I met him at Las Vegas at the Magic and Meaning Conference several years ago, and needless to say, it is just an exciting time for me to have him finally on here. He's an author, a speaker, and a magician, and he is the creator and founder of #Positivity. And I hope that you enjoy his spellbinding positive magic. He's performed all over the world for different celebrities alike. So please, I welcome Jonas Cain. Jonas, welcome to Faust and Company, my friend.
It is a joy to be here, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
You're always welcome here, and your positivity is all already emanating through the screen. I can see that you have many fans out there, and they are commenting, and I probably can't keep up. Edward says hello.
Oh, Edward, I love Edward. Hello. Oh, oh my goodness, so many people. Hello.
Scott is here too, and they are all watching you, Jonas. So thank you so much for blessing this time and place at Faust and Company.
It's such a joy. I'm absolutely thrilled. I met you a few years ago, and I've throughout this time, I haven't had a chance to see you in the past year or so. So I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to see you virtually.
Right. Jonas, I know we were talking prior. I met you at the Magic and Meaning Conference, my first time there in Las Vegas, and it's a conference held by Jeff McBride, and you did a lecture. And needless to say, I didn't know what to expect, and you definitely had inspiring and compelling positive magic then. And the one thing that I do remember is how I felt, and I really felt inspired through that. And that was our first meeting, for those of you wondering out there.
Yeah, I forget which talk I gave that year. I gave 3 talks, and each talk was very specific, because in my work as a positivity magician, a purveyor of positivity and facilitator of fascination, there are 3 core messages that I deliver. So each year I gave a talk on one of each of those topics. I think perhaps that was the year I talked about building magic connections, perhaps about the value of relationships. That may have been the one that you saw.
Yes, it does strike some familiarity, but needless to say, I talked to you after, and it was just really nice to get your take on magic and how you presented it. I have so many questions for you as far as your style of magic. I know that you're the founder of #Positivity. Could you explain a little bit about what that is and what you do with #Positivity?
I'd be happy to. In fact, it's a common thought that I'm the founder. I'm actually the current owner, the original founder, and this is a little known fact, is a very good friend of mine. This was 6 years ago. He started this. At the time, it was just an idea. It was a movement where he wanted to spread positivity into the community. His name is Jason D. Metropolis, and it started because he was working in a firehouse as a fireman.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched any of the firefighter TV shows that are on TV, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it's based off of truth. They can kind of get into each other's hairs, fooling around. It's all in love, but sometimes things can go too far. And when things would go too far, they would say #positivity to sort of reset the mood in the room.
Right.
So based off that, Jason thought, well, maybe there's something there. So that's when he decided to start. He came up, let's see, where is it? Here it is, with the logo. He designed the logo, #Positivity.
Yes.
And from there, it just blossomed, and he started printing them up on T-shirts and hats just to get them out into the community.
Right.
So at first, it was just a clothing company. But he was just like giving the stuff away practically.
And now it's become a message, and I think it definitely resonates. #Positivity is somewhat of a language now, especially for this generation. I mean, it's so familiar and easy to remember, and it speaks of volumes as far as, especially during the time that we are in now. Positivity is so important to us. Jonas, if there was someone who didn't know or hasn't seen your magic as of current, how would you describe your magic to people?
I would describe my magic probably using a magic trick. It's the idea of show, don't tell, right? So I've had sort of a love-hate relationship with magic over the years.
Yeah.
And it was because life experiences can oftentimes get in the way of things. And as I was sort of coming to understand where my place in magic was, I tried to get out of it for a little while. But
Yes.
then it just kept pulling me back. And what I've come to really embrace is that what I most love about magic is it reminds us life is filled with surprises. But Chris, that's not the whole story. But not in the sense of something missing, but in the sense of being complete. So not because there's something missing from our lives, but because it is a part of the whole of our lives. Therefore, it is the whole. And when we confuse this very subtle difference, life surprises can get us so turned around, it can put us on the spot. Pun intended. Now, as you know, Chris, some people see life surprises as problems to be ignored. Others see them as opportunities to be explored. And since this is more of an interview than a magic show, this is the perfect time to explore this. So, Chris, let's take a closer look. This spot is made by taking a hole and placing it in front of a hole. Makes sense, yes?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
This spot, though, is different because if you look closely, I'll bring it up very close, you can see that there's no hole there at all. And this is where you say, surprise! And when we embrace these surprises, that's when opportunities can pop up everywhere.
Oh, bravo.
Even in the most unlikely of places, helping us to grow to whole new heights. That's where we say, "Ah." And when we do this, that's when that, my friends, is the whole story.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Jonas. Wonderful.
Whole story.
I think me and you, we have the same teacher nonetheless, and that's how we met. And obviously everyone out there, I just have to point out that everyone is just chiming in on the comments. So a job well done. Micah says bravo. Love that.
Thank you, Micah.
But
thank you, Braden. Hello, Braden. Good to see you.
Yes, you performed. Actually, you spoke at Jeff McBride's Mystery School Monday with Braden, and you were just featured for your particular magic. And I wanted to mention, Jonas, that we have the same teacher, Jeff McBride. And what I love about your magic is that you're not just showing a trick; you are sending a message. And is that what you specialize in, or is that what you present to in your magic show? Is magic with meaning, essentially?
And very much so. It goes back to my first time meeting Jeff McBride was oh my goodness, it was over a decade ago when I attended mystery school for the first time. And there was one thing that I really took away from that meeting, from that course. And it was that everything we do tells a story. But the question is, are we aware of what that story is? Are we conscious of it, or is it just happening by default? And interestingly, I walked away from that, and that is sort of what inspired me to consider getting out of magic.
Yes.
Because I became so passionate about communicating a very specific message. Yeah. And I thought, well, do I really need the magic to communicate this? Well, of course, the answer is no. We don't need. It's like but it's a choice. I don't need it. However, the magic is such a part of me. It's a part of my skill set. It's a part of my expertise. It's a part of my authenticity. So it would be silly not to incorporate. It would be silly for Picasso not to use paint. Let's just put it that way. And that's also why I bring in music into my presentations as well. I'm also a trained musician. I studied music. My main instrument is the saxophone. However, that's kind of loud over Zoom, so I started playing the ukulele instead. That's part of my authenticity.
Yeah.
So it's not, a painting is not about the paint. A sculpture isn't about the stone or the wood. A book isn't about the words, but it's about what are we trying to communicate. So absolutely, the magic isn't about the magic. And you right at the top of the show, you said it best. You remembered how it made you feel.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, it's an experience, and that's really what we're going for.
Jonas, I have to ask you, and it is a very, classical question, is this: when did you actually fall in love with magic? Because I can see that it is a passion for you. So it had to start somewhere, and I'm curious, when did that all start?
It started when I was just a young boy, as it happens with many folks who get into magic. For me, I was such a shy child. I really had a hard time communicating with the world. I was very timid. I would barely speak. In fact, when I did speak
Yeah.
to other people, I had such a severe stutter that I couldn't get words out. It was very difficult for me to do anything with people. So when I saw magic for the first time, and it was between seeing magicians on TV or seeing a magician at like my father's company picnic, I would see magic. I really latched onto it because here I was, this shy kid who was having trouble doing what people are supposed to be able to, the very very basic things of communicating, and yet here were these people doing what no one is supposed to even be able to do, making the impossible become possible. I really latched onto that. That became something that was very empowering for me to experience, and I decided I wanted to be able to do that too.
Right.
And when I started learning magic, and this was really the first magic trick, when I started learning magic, in order to do magic, you need an audience. You need someone to engage in. Otherwise you're just playing around, right?
Right.
So that is having something special to share with other people. That's what gave me the confidence to step up in front of other people and
Wow.
work through whatever challenges I had in communication. And to this day, when I get really excited, I still stammer over my words a little bit. But oh my goodness, I'm able to get sentences out, whereas I couldn't even do that when I was like 5 or 6.
Well, needless to say, if you hadn't mentioned that story, I wouldn't have known it all. And you are a wonderful speaker, by the way. When I seen you, that was the one thing that I, was impressed upon, was the way you presented yourself and the way you connected with your words. And obviously, whatever obstacles you've come across thus far, you seemingly overcame them. So bravo to you, Jonas.
Thank you, Chris.
If you have a minute, I think Braden has a question,
Oh, absolutely.
which is something that we're doing here at Faust and Company. So if there are questions within our time, he has a question. What has been a memorable moment for you during performance? Do any of
During,
you stick out?
I immediately went to 3 experiences in my mind, and each one were oh, it's my uncle. Hello, Uncle Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. Welcome.
So there were 3 experiences. One of them was when I had a near-death experience on stage,
Oh, wow.
where it was one of the rare moments. I was performing a piece of danger magic, which I don't recommend anyone doing. I was 13 years old, and I was at my high school talent show, and I was doing a version of Russian roulette using acid.
Oh, boy.
So instead so I had 5 test tubes, all filled with water, except for one had hydrochloric acid. They were all mixed up, and I was blindfolded, and I was supposed to drink from all of them, except for the one that had acid. But enter 13-year-old Jonas, who's still an emerging performer and doesn't really know what he's doing still. The very first test tube I drank had the acid.
Oh my gosh.
I tore my blindfold off. I spit it out immediately. I ran off stage. I had water off stage, so I'm gurgling with the water, swishing it around, trying to get the acid neutralized out of my mouth. And meanwhile, I have a lapel microphone on, and I'm running around the school saying, "Get my parents."
Oh boy.
Because of course my parents were in the audience at this point, freaking out. And oh my goodness, so I was rushed to the and here's an important part. No one in the audience, except for of course my parents, everyone, they thought it was part of the act.
Yes.
They just thought, oh, this is a comedy act. So everyone was just laughing hysterically. Meanwhile, I'm like trying to get like, no, I'm serious. I need to go to the hospital here. So as we're going to the hospital, my mom is racing me to the hospital. Meanwhile, I'm hanging out the window, still sipping water, spewing it out because I trying to get the acid out. And even in this crazy moment, I had the presence of mind. I still laugh about this. I turned to my mother and I said, "We must never speak of this." I was already embarrassed for my future self.
Right. And now we're speaking on it on live stream on Facebook nonetheless. So
it's hilarious now.
what a great story, Jonas. You know, I can talk to you all day, and sharing these stories of your personal life and also what you do in magic. We appreciate that here. And I hope that everyone out there is enjoying your stories. I know I am. And that is a story I will always remember because it is dangerous, and it's good to see that nothing serious came of it. And so I'm happy about that, you know.
It was a close call. I was on a feeding tube for over a month. I couldn't swallow anything. It was
Oh
really
boy.
a serious issue.
Yeah, that's serious. But fortunately, you're okay and still performing magic.
Yes, just not that.
Not ever again. Jonas, I wanted to go over some of your projects because our time is running out. So I want to make sure that we highlight a couple things. I know that you have a website and it is #positivity. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so on that website, there's a slew of free resources between articles and blogs and videos, a podcast, a slew of resources that can help you to really think, be, and stay positive. I wrote a book recently called Are You Positive? Rethinking Positive Thinking. And as a way to communicate 8 principles and practices for thinking, being, and staying positive. And the subtitle, Rethinking Positive Thinking, because I'm not sure if you've seen it in the news or not, but there's been this huge resurgence of people talking about toxic positivity, which is a real thing.
Right.
So that book and everything on the website, it's addressing real and genuine and serious positivity, which takes work. It takes what I call the 3 pillars of positivity: positive growth mindset, clarity of purpose, high value relationships. That takes work. It takes a lot of work to think, be, and stay positive in those realms. So I have a slew of resources on the website that your listeners can take advantage of.
So if anyone's out there, please look up Jonas Cain at #positivity if you're interested in his work as far as writings and resources. You also mentioned, Jonas, that you have a podcast. Where can we find that if we wanted to listen in?
So there is a link on the website. However, the specific, it's on a positive note, onapositivenote.com. You can check out the podcast there.
onapositivenote.com. And then, and finally, you are on Facebook, and it's under Jonas Cain, and you are also on Instagram. And
Absolutely.
so anyone out there interested in finding our friend Jonas Cain, please look him up. And if you're just tuning in, you can rewatch the whole show so you can follow all the media that he's on there. Jonas, I can talk to you all day. And I always ask our featured guest to leave the audience with a positive thought or anything, and I know that you are an expert at that. But I would like, if you can, to close out our show with just a message to our audience, if you may.
Absolutely. We can end literally on a positive note.
Perfect.
I do have a specific message in mind. One of the most common questions that I get asked as a positivity coach and speaker is, how do we stay positive when dealing with negative circumstances? And this is truly a fair question to ask, because when life's challenges get in our way, when they threaten to hold us back from moving forward to where we most want to be, how are we supposed to stay positive? This can be even more challenging when our circumstances are narrow, meaning there's very little wiggle room. So our peace, our joy, and our happiness becomes so tied to just one outcome that when challenges get in our way, all of a sudden we find ourselves in a situation where we're stuck. How are we supposed to stay positive when life's challenges are literally stacked against us? One of my favorite practices for this comes to us from the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. And he said, I'll do my best Tom Hanks impersonation. He said, "I've got to keep breathing because tomorrow the sun will rise. Who knows what the tide might bring?" Breathing, just breathe. This does two very important things. Number one, it literally keeps us alive. It can take us from a moment of potential crisis to the moments afterwards. However, what it also does is it turns on what's called our parasympathetic nervous system. This is our body's natural response that calms us down. And our body does this naturally on its own. However, when we find ourselves in stressful situations and we feel our anxiety and tension and stress rising, then we can kick it in naturally on our own in a number of ways, including breathing, really filling the lungs. That's the important part. Really fill those lungs and then breathe out. Because it's when the lungs return to their resting state that it kicks in our parasympathetic nerves. So, and this is our encouraging news, the next time you find yourself in a situation that's less than positive, just remember to breathe. Just keep breathing. You never know what the tide might bring in. Thank you so much, Chris, for letting me share that with your listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jonas Cain, and a reminder to keep breathing. Jonas, thank you so much for visiting us here at Faust and Company, and we hope that you will come back and visit us again. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Herren as Faust. This is Jonas Cain, and we thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care, everyone.